Okay, 9/11, the truth. The truth? Can you believe that you live in a world that is not run by human beings? Can you believe that in the shadows there is a malign actor who is manipulating the narrative of the story in which we are living in a way that doesn't suit human beings, that suits a malign actor? Can you believe that's true? If you can, then you can believe that that malign actor is alive within the American Secret Service and therefore within the entire Western world, plus the rest of the world that we can't see it. They can see the future. The MK Ultra project, run by the CIA in the 60s in America, was about remote viewing, and they could do it. There are certainly reports all about the remote viewing success that they were having in the 60s. Some congressmen decided that it was getting very satanic and stopped it in America, but it came to Britain, to this country. So we continued the remote viewing in Caversham Park. In that process of satanic experimenting on non-consenting humans, children, they realize that they can see the future. That by inflicting suffering on children, they can use that suffering to gain insight into what will happen to those children, what should have happened to those children in their lives. They can see that story. Through that technique of child abuse, they've seen that the Twin Towers fall. God smites the Twin Towers by switching off the power of the concrete which holds that building up. And this is where Dr. Lewe comes in. You need to tie in here with Dr. Lewe, referencing the PCA document 1942 and 1993, that there's a direct link between the Portland Cement Association and Dr. Lewe of a reference that they refuse to put in, despite my best efforts. And this is why. Because it exposes them as liars and murderers. And here's the evidence. So they see in their remote viewing the towers fall and Building 7. And they see that it's done by switching off the power of the concrete, and the building just drops. It has no strength, it just drops. But when the concrete is switched off, there is explosions, creating all this thermite dust, showing the two layers of carbon and iron, showing that the explosion was nuclear. And immense heat is developed, hence all the steel melts. So there's no concrete, just dust, and there's just hardly any steel. It's all melted. What is left is just melted intense heat. So they've got to come up with a story about why the buildings fell down. So they fly 2 aeroplanes into it, into Building 7, into the Twin Towers, not to Building 7. So that we see a cause, aeroplanes flying into towers, then we see towers fall down. Because they know when they're going to fall down, they can time it beautifully to the day, to 9/11, a call for help. A cry for help on 9/11, but we're not hearing it. We're just seeing, oh wow, jet fuel causes that kind of collapse. Look at Building 7's collapse. Look at the video of it falling down. And imagine this. There's a microwave signal is sent to the foundation of that building. There is a magnetic pole switch, reverse, inside each bond of Portland cement, which untwists the twist that Lewe has shown us. It just untwists the twist, and there is no strength to the concrete anymore. There is no bond to the aggregate. And so it just stops working, and it goes from the ground up, and the building just drops. That's the power of God speaking to us, crying for help, for us to help to restore him to this planet. So that the report that's been done by the engineers and the architects, which demonstrates that explosives were used, is not quite right. What it's showing is that explosions occurred. And those explosions occurred because of the information given to us by Dr. Lewe. So I can urge you, engineers and architects from that group, please, look at Dr. Lewe. Look at my website, Ace Consultancy UK, and the research I've done on Dr. Lewe about his 1915 work, where he's closing the door from theoretical physics to engineering. The door is closed there with the issue of his second doctorate in engineering. and know that I've got his 1906 one. His 1906 doctorate, for his physics doctorate, his real one, as he sees it, his real one, shows the corruption of the living force. It proves the corruption of God. Now, when you look at those documents in that context and look at 9/11 truth and go, okay, there's a story that makes sense. That's why the buildings fell down. That's why the aeroplanes flew into them. That's why none of this makes any sense. It's because it does make sense when you look at it from a perspective that God exists. And God is sending us a message, and that message is wake up and look at Dr. Lewe and restore God to this planet. Are you ready? Are you ready to believe it? And all you've got to do is believe that this planet is run by a malign actor that hates human beings. Can you believe that might be true? From the evidence when you look out the window? And now take action. Peace and forgiveness is what's coming. It's coming today. It's coming today. The moment you wake up, you're back in the room, you're a living, breathing human being, and Christ lives in his kingdom, in your mind. Follow the rebel king.